Hi, my name is Justyna. I'm from Poland and today I'm in Warsaw. Tomorrow is St. Nicholas Day, the 6th of December. Popular in Poland, Mikołajki, when we give other people small gifts. And is such tradition in your country too? Anyway, who was St. Nicholas? According to tradition, St. Nicholas was the bishop of Myra in the southwest coast of Asia Minor, Turkey today. Tradition also says that he died in the 6th of December in 342. He is a Catholic and Orthodox saint who was for centuries one of the most venerated saints both in the West and East. Although the oldest accounts about him date only from the 6th century, he was famous for the charity. Legends and stories about St. Nicholas of Myra tells that he helped poor and sick and give them money to help them. One of the well-known stories tells about a poor father and his 3 daughters. They were so poor that the father could not gather enough money to provide dowries for the girls. Unable to support them, he decided to sell them to a brothel. But Bishop Nicholas came to family's aid. At night, he secretly left 3 golden balls in their house, solving the problem of the dowries. I know how it sounds from the moral point of view. But notice how the legend highlights the St. Nicholas's deep understanding of human dilemmas and suffering without moralizing. That's why it has always been believed that he brings help in every need. As a saint, people say St. Nicholas still protects human property and protects against wolves and werewolves. His relics are protected in Bari in southern Italy, which place we visited some years ago. Okay, but why 24 or 25 of December? Why we at 24 of December we can meet a jolly, friendly, round old man dressed in red, giving gifts, also called St. Nicholas? Is it a mix of someone from old legends with a Christian saint? Especially that in the Julian calendar, now we have Gregorian calendar, December the 6th falls 13 days later, near the Christmas Eve. By the way, I'm in Christmas market in Warsaw. And St. Nicholas. In 1620, Dutch merchants founded the city of New Amsterdam in America, choosing St. Nicholas, the patron of sailors and merchants, as its protector. They brought with them a custom of giving gifts on December the 6th. When the British took over the city, they changed its name to New York, but preserved many old Dutch traditions. In 1809, writer and folklore enthusiast Washington Irving wrote a history of New York in which he described the Dutch St. Nicholas. In Irving's version, he no more wore bishop's robes, but resembled a friendly, stout Dutchman who enjoyed smoking a pipe. On December 23, 1823, an anonymous poem titled A Visit from St. Nicholas appeared in a New York newspaper. Its authorship was later attributed to Clement Clark Moore, a professor of biblical studies in New York. His St. Nicholas was a short, jolly elf with a considerable belly. He smoked a pipe, and he discovered on December 24, not on December the 6th. He also traveled by sleigh drawn by reindeers, and that's how it stayed. Between 1863 and 1886, he began to be portrayed by German illustrator Thomas Nast. On the covers, in the holiday edition of the New York Weekly Harper's. Nast continued to draw Santa for 30 years, changing the color of his coat from tan to the red, how it is known today. The Coca-Cola company also contributed to the modern image of Santa Claus. In 1930, an artist named Fred Misen painted something that would quietly kick off one of the most iconic Christmas images of all time. A Santa in department store surrounded by shoppers drinking a glass of Coca-Cola. The ad highlighted what was then the world's largest soda fountain inside the famous bar company store in St. Louis, Missouri. That painting rolled out in print during in 1930 holiday season, even making an appearance in the Saturday Evening Post. Just a year later, in 1931, Coca-Cola decided to go bigger. They began running Christmas ads in some of the most popular magazines in the country. Archie Lee, an executive at the RC advertising agency, wanted a Santa very, very good for people and real, not just a guy in a costume. So Coca-Cola hired illustrator Hayden Sandblom, a Michigan native, to bring that vision to life. For inspiration, Sandblom turned to Clement Clark Moore 1822 poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas. Moore's description shaped Sandblom's Santa into the warm, friendly, rosy-cheeked, pleasantly plump figure we still imagine today. And by the way, despite the rumor, Santa Claus don't wear red because of Coca-Cola. Artists had been dressing him in red long before the Coca-Cola advertising campaign. Sandblom version of St. Nicholas made its debut in 1931 in the Saturday Evening Post and soon appeared in Ladies' Home Journal, National Geographic, The New Yorker, and many others. From 1931 to 1964, Coca-Cola ads showed Santa doing everything from delivering toys and playing with them to take a break to read a letter, drinking Coke, chat with kids who stayed up late just to see him. He even raided refrigerators. Sandblom painted this all as full oil works, and Coca-Cola adopted them into magazine ads, store displays, billboards, posters, calendars, even plush toys. Today collectors look for them with passion. His final Santa painting came in 1964, but Coke continued using his imaginary for decades. These original paintings are now considered some of the gems of Coca-Cola's art archives, and they have been exhibited all over the world, from the Louvre in Paris to museums in Toronto, Chicago, Tokyo, and Stockholm. In the early days, Sandblom had a life model, his friend Lou Prentice, a retired salesman. After Prentice passed away, Sandblom used himself as the model, painting while looking into a mirror. Eventually, he switched to using photographs. People loved Santa images so much that they noticed everything. If something looked off, they wrote letters to Coca-Cola. One year, the belt buckle was on backwards, likely because Sandblom was painting in front of a mirror. Another year, Santa wasn't wearing his wedding ring, and fans immediately wanted to know what happened to Mrs. Claus. The kids in the paintings were based on Sandblom's neighbors, two young girls. He simply changed one into a boy for the artwork. And the dog from the painting from 1964, it was the grey poodle owned by local florist. But to fit it to the canvas, Sandblom painted it black, also only on his paintings, not in real. Now listen for a very nice story written by clergyman Atanazy Dębowski. One day, after a long day of traveling and gathering prayers from the earth, St. Nicholas and St. John Cassian were hurrying back to heaven. They had to arrive before evening because all the saints were already gathering for the feast of St. Nicholas, which, according to the liturgical cycle, begins on the evening of the previous day. The sun was already setting. St. John Cassian urged Nicholas to walk faster, reminding him that time was running short. Suddenly they saw a peasant with a wagon stuck in the mud, his horses unable to move. "Go on ahead if you want," said St. Nicholas. "I have to help him pull those horses and that wagon out of the mud." The angel and saints in heaven waited a long time to begin the celebration, but they couldn't start without the guest of honor. At last, St. Nicholas appeared, covered in mud, and "Where have you been for so long, Nicholas?" Christ himself asked. "I had to help a peasant pull his horses and wagon out of the mud. He asked me for help, and I couldn't come to the feast earlier. Forgive me, Christ, our God." "Nicholas," said Christ, "for helping people, I grant you one more feast day in May when the weather is warm, so that you may help people as much as you wish. And you, John Cassian, because you were afraid to dirty yourself in the mud and did not help the poor driver, you shall have your feast on February 29th every 4 years." Here is the icon of St. Nicholas from our home. I painted it for someone else, but by a twist of fate, it stayed with us. The inspiration is the 13th century icon from Novgorod. I deliberately chose only to draw inspiration from it rather than copy it, because I changed St. Nicholas's gaze from looking slightly to the side to looking directly at the recipient. However, I have preserved the clear resemblance in the design of the vestments with a gilded pattern, as well as the golden ball at the bottom of the image, added as an attribute of the saint. This method of painting the golden pattern on the garments immediately indicates that the gilding is symbolic. In this case, a symbol of understanding human problems and needs, often very material ones, and offering help in solving them. The golden bowl is, of course, a reference to the story of the father and the 3 daughters. St. Nicholas gave away his entire fortune to those in need. It is not coincidence that St. Nicholas brings gifts both on St. Nicholas's Day and on Christmas Eve. Pay attention to the following elements of the icon. The arrangement of the fingers forms the abbreviation ECXC. E C X C, meaning Isos Christos. The 2 fingers touching the thumb, 2 fingers touching the thumb indicate the Trinity, while the 2 extended fingers symbolize the dual nature of Christ. A whole theology is contained in the position of the hand. Additionally, the book is shown in reverse perspective, not leading towards a distant vanishing point within the image, but converging towards the viewer. It's opposite and opens towards infinity. That's all for today's episode. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe, because we have much more stories to tell you. So, until the next time, bye bye.